If that game looked familiar, that's exactly the game I've been telling you about for 3 days. And also, North Carolina fans, I told you so. And if you don't beat Ole Miss in the rebounding battle, you're in the game. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It was an absolutely breathtaking first half of the game, building a 22-point lead early in the second half of the game. Ole Miss came out and played their best half of basketball that they've played probably under Chris Beard on the offensive and defensive end. They completely took away North Carolina's ability to both score at the basket and shoot three-point shots while being red hot in three-point range. Dre Davis, Sean Pedulla, Jamin Brakefield, so much in the first half, and Malik Dia playing bully ball was a large reason that Ole Miss was able to build that lead. Listen, I'm Stephen Willis. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and we are celebrating Ole Miss advancing to the round of 32 against the Iowa State Cyclones and taking down and ambushing the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I tell you what, I'm going to be completely honest about it. North Carolina fans, they were aggressive on Twitter. They were aggressive in the comments. They wanted me to know how stupid I was for picking Ole Miss in this game. And not only did I pick the Ole Miss to win the game, I dang near got the score correct. I nearly nailed the keys. RJ Davis with lengthy players, completely neutralizing his three-point game, being competitive on the boards against North Carolina. Ole Miss won the rebounding battle against North Carolina. Play another clean game. They kind of lost the turnover battle for the first time that I remember in a long time, but they were able to limit in the first half North Carolina playing in transition, and the comeback happened because North Carolina was able to get into transition some. But it's a really good thing. You probably got better coverage from me, Mr. Football, than of anybody else on the internet. Tim Doyle put out a tweet immediately after the game that said, "I'm sorry, Ole Miss fans, and you're welcome for the motivation," which you're a joke. You're a double-A announcer for national media, and you're an idiot whenever you said that. If you thought that when you said either San Diego State or North Carolina was going to beat Ole Miss, that rules out and makes everything null and void else that you said. Period. You're a joke. Ole Miss won consistently. Keith Carter tweeted out, "The frauds, they don't look like frauds to me." This was a motivated basketball team. That's the reason the Tim Doyle thing got me so excited. When I saw the reaction of Chris Beard, I got so excited because you could tell it resonated with him. It made him physically angry, and he was going to implement that on his team. I bet later on that afternoon, that quote was all over their lockers in the locker room. A little bit later on in the day, the video of him saying it was playing in the facility on repeat. That was a pissed off Ole Miss team in Milwaukee, and North Carolina could not handle the energy of a pissed off Ole Miss. And make no mistake, Ole Miss likely doesn't win that game if they don't come out pissed off and with that run. And I said before the game, the winner of this game is likely going to go to the Elite Eight, in my opinion. There's a chance for whoever won this game to make a big run. I'm not super impressed by Michigan State. Iowa State is without their point guard who's injured. We're going to talk to Locked On Cyclones tomorrow. We're going to do a crossover to get everybody up to speed on Iowa State. But when you look at the breakdown of what happened and how Ole Miss was able to come into the game with a high level of energy, it's just Chris Beard is worth every penny that he gets paid. Period. Every penny that gets paid. Now, I will say this. The second half, the comeback that North Carolina had, they need to get some appreciation. They need to get some flowers for that. The lead that Ole Miss got in the first half was a little bit too much to overcome. But Hubert Davis in North Carolina, they have some good players. And that's the reason I said whenever this first started, that Ole Miss got screwed by the draw by the NCAA tournament. That's the reason I was upset that North Carolina got an extra day of rest after the play-in game. All of that stuff because I knew how good they were. And Ole Miss coming out just completely shutting them down, that was something that honestly, Sean Pedulla is now in that rarefied Marshall Henderson, Jason Harrison air of Ole Miss NCAA tournament legends. See, North Carolina fans are watching this as like, well, you just won a first round game. Yeah, you're in the tournament every single year. This is the 10th time that Ole Miss has made the NCAA tournament. This is like the third or fourth time that Ole Miss has won a game in the NCAA tournament. This is the lowest seed that North Carolina has had in the history of tournaments that have been seeded for the NCAA. That's absolutely nuts to think about. This is the lowest seed that they've had. Ole Miss led by 18 at halftime. That is the largest lead at halftime in an NCAA tournament game that North Carolina has trailed since 1967. My uncle Tim was born in 68. He's in his 50s, and that has not happened in his lifetime. This was a special day by the Ole Miss Rebels. The first half was Kentucky level impressive for Ole Miss. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to do a little box score cleaning up, and then, of course, we're going to have some time in the comment section as well. So stick around for that. You know, we're all about stats because numbers do not lie. And when it comes to the all new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, numbers are on an MVP level. The ability to tow 8,500 pounds, you can quite literally carry every North Carolina tier of the NCAA tournament, plus the gear of the team as well, wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room up for 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for a big crew, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take adventures to new heights with the all new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more about that at nissanusa.com. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-Hour Energy has you covered. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a extra boost of power through, whether you're staying up late in the NCAA tournament game. I think Michigan State tonight tips off at 10 Eastern. Squeezing in a round of golf after work or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up wherever you need it. I've been staying up late watching all the tournament action, and 5-Hour Energy helps me keep up the next day, whether I'm at a game, or traveling. 5-Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack that's delivered right to your door. You need one now? Grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, so let's do a little box score cleaning and talk about this game. This was a situation. Ole Miss led at halftime, 44-26, 18-point lead. We talked about that. North Carolina did a good job of coming back in the second half. Ole Miss isn't quite good enough to rest on their laurels, and North Carolina is good enough to come back. They've done it multiple times this season. They tried to do the comeback thing again, but Ole Miss was able to hold them off. Ole Miss won the game 71-64. Ole Miss shot 44.4% from the field. That was after a completely red-hot start in the first half. That tells you how poorly they shot the basketball in the second half and how much North Carolina turned up the heat on the defense. North Carolina shot 38.1%, though. They didn't shoot good the entire game. R.J. Davis did not play well. Ole Miss was 8 of 20 from three-point range, only made one in the second half. That was Sean Pedulla, basically game dagger three-point shot. North Carolina was 5 of 24, just a shade over 20%. Ole Miss had 14 turnovers in the game. Carolina had 9. This is a rare thing where Ole Miss actually lost the turnover battle. And rebounding wise, almost actually another rare thing. Won the turnover battle with 40 rebounds to North Carolina 34. And as I've told you all year, when Ole Miss wins the rebounding battle, you do not win the game. And Ole Miss had 17 fouls. North Carolina had 19 fouls as well. When you look at the leader, Ben Van Leuven for North Carolina, the big man down below, had 14 points. R.J. Davis had 15, but it wasn't a good shooting day. 6 17. Only 1 for 8 from three-point range. Free throws 2 for 4. Dre Davis and Matthew Morrell, they just absolutely did a number. And I talked all week that Ole Miss plays really well and matches up really well with guard-dominated teams, and they're going to give teams in the NCAA tournament fits that are guard-dominated, and this just showed that as well. North Carolina only had 2 players in double figures. When you look at Elliot Cadeau, he was 1 of 8, shooting from 2, or overall, he was 3, he was 1 of 2 from the line. He had 4 rebounds, 4 steals, had 3 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, 4 points. Sean Pedulla shutting him down, just like you've seen Sean Pedulla and Juju Murray shut down elite SEC point guards. That was how Ole Miss was able to kind of separate. On the Ole Miss side of the ball, you had Sean Pedulla with 20 points, Dre Davis with 15, Jamin Brakefield with 12, Matthew Morrell had 8, but he did some yeoman's work on the defensive side of the ball in this game. Malik Dia, whenever he decided to go, was pretty much unguardable. Eduardo Klasky did some stuff. Davin Barnes did not have the best game, honestly, and Juju Murray was very good. But Dre Davis, I'm telling you, his start to that game set the tone. If you watch the TV show Shoresy, they constantly talk about setting the tone. And Ole Miss did a Shoresy thing and set the tone and just overwhelmed the North Carolina Tar Heels. So whenever we come back, we are going to go to your comments. We are going to celebrate because the comments are lighting up at the moment. Like I said, good comeback by North Carolina. Congratulations, good game, all of that stuff. But Ole Miss completely ambushed them and was one of the most dominating first halves that basically won the game at that point as well. So we'll see exactly how that goes for North Carolina and Ole Miss going on to the next level. Anyway, when we come back, your comments. Stick around.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, so this was a big win. Anytime Ole Miss goes to the round of 32, that's a big deal. It might not be a big deal in Chapel Hill. It might not be a big deal in Durham. It might not be a big deal in Lexington or Auburn or any of those places. But in Oxford, Mississippi, getting to the round of 32 is a big deal. And Ole Miss is 1 win away from their best basketball finish ever. Ole Miss has been to the Sweet 16 1 time, and that was in 2001 on a shot in the round of 32 by Jason Harrison against Notre Dame. But Ole Miss has a chance to match that with the win over the Iowa State Cyclones. I don't know too much about Iowa State at this point. I'm going to learn about Iowa State. I am going to learn about that. We're going to have Locked On Cyclones host on the show tomorrow. We're going to do a crossover that's going to serve as the pregame for the game. We're going to do it at about 1 o'clock. We're going to record it. I expect it's going to be up by 1:30 or 2 o'clock. Tomorrow, and it'll just sit there. So everything you need to know about the Iowa State Cyclones, he's going to be able to tell you. And of course, I'm as cocky and confident as ever as Ole Miss potentially is going to the Sweet 16. So it should be a lot of fun. So let's go to your comments real quick. John Baker says, "Who are you calling frauds? Hotty toddy, Tupelo." Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tim Doyle, for that. He's trying to play coy, but Ole Miss fans should absolutely light that dude up. No matter what happens Sunday, they should absolutely light that guy up for about the next 3 weeks if we're going to. Midwest Picker says, "Big shot Pedulla." Yes. Mark Walsh says, "I will take the W. Tough to watch late, though. If UNC could hit a 3, well, we're doomed," but they couldn't. If If Ole Miss could have hit a 30 points, you can't really play that game. Their shooting was off the entire game. Defense played really well against North Carolina. The game plan was fantastic for Chris Beard and the Ole Miss defense, and they basically took away layups, and they took away 3 shots, and they said, "Hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to do it in the mid-range." Now, North Carolina kind of figured some stuff out with the way Ole Miss switches their defense, but we'll see exactly how that goes as well. Jay Spoon says the way that game played out makes Doyle look like a complete imbecile. It was eerily similar to UNC Duke last weekend. Only with yeah, I said over the course of the week that the ingredients were in place for this game to be an all-time type game in the NCAA tournament, and I also talked about how Ole Miss has only been in one all-time type game, and that was the Bryce Drew game. So I was nervous about that statement. But it was because everybody talked about UNC being frauds and they shouldn't be in the tournament. And then people saying that Ole Miss is the fraud of the tournament. Those things meant that you were going to have effort and people playing hard in the game. And whenever that happens and you have completely locked in people, you have a chance for specialness to happen. And it so very closely did. Tyler Leslie from Mooreville, Mississippi. It was great the way they all played so good. Now let's go to the second round and get another W. Iowa State Cyclones. Pretty good. Davis needs to play like that Sunday too. They all need to play good Sunday. Yeah. You're playing a 3 seed now. You are officially in the colored jersey and likely the colored jersey the rest of the tournament. You're either wearing red, navy blue, or powder blue. Iowa State was red, so I would expect them to wear navy or powder in that game. Honestly, if we're going to be real, that's what Ole Miss is going to wear pretty much for the rest of the tournament. Ben Bynum says, "I hope Keith Carter will do everything he can to keep Coach Beard. There should be plenty of extra tickets floating around for Sunday from these UNC fans who are checking out early." Yeah, if you're in Milwaukee right now, it's kind of Kentucky SEC tournament rules. Try and find somebody in powder blue and get the tickets because you probably can get a pretty good deal because those guys are going home pretty quick. And they were loud. Those UNC fans were loud. They were legitimately loud. I will give them credit for that. Tyler Leslie says it feels good to be an Ole Miss fan. Brandon Nettles from Dallas, Texas. That was a great game. Hashtag Ole Miss. Ronald Mathis says the rare hot start for Ole Miss is why they won. Yeah, they were completely on fire from the beginning. The energy of the fraud thing, that is the story of the tournament. And if Ole Miss can feed on that going into Iowa State and beyond, they have a chance to make a little bit of a run. So we'll see exactly how that happens. Ronald Mathis also says it's very difficult to come back from 22 points down. Yes, not many teams do that. But they came close, and they've come close multiple times this year. So they are pretty powerful. Joe Cranmer says, "Hotty toddy." Zachary Turbis says, "Let's go." 5.5 dog Sunday, ready for another upset. Yes, the 3 seed Iowa State, 6 seed Ole Miss. Like I said, Ole Miss probably needs to wear the Navy jerseys. I really wish that Ole Miss had the Navy version of their throwback jerseys because I think that's the best looking uniform Ole Miss has ever had. And that would look amazing in that game, but there's no way they have that right now. Joe Cramner says he's super proud of this team. Pete says Davis's first half was huge from West Memphis. Yes. Dre Davis, when he is on, Ole Miss is unbeatable. When he is on, Ole Miss is a completely different level. And not saying anything, he got on today, got into a little bit of foul trouble, and he kind of disappeared for the rest of the game. Fouls are his biggest enemy. He needs to not reach. He needs to keep his aggressive. He needs to show his aggression, but he needs to not reach. If he can do that, and all of a sudden the momentum can build, it can crescendo and ends up with a 20-point game. Randy Wilbank says, "Hotty toddy from Mississippi. I guess the fraudulent rebels will be moving on." Yeah, it's kind of amazing. By the way, Florida is absolutely killing Norfolk State. Uncle Buck says, "Happy for our boys today. Ole Miss is not fraudulent. Aiken, South Carolina, the boys had me and Pop nervous." Yeah, that comeback scared me. I think I referred to it on Twitter as suboptimal, and it was yeah, I was not doing well. Um, yeah, it was pretty rough. Let's see. Javon Campbell from New Orleans, the refs, the media, and the crowd were all rooting for Carolina. Yes, and the announcers, hey, the color guys, not so much like Stan Van Gundy. I have no problem with those guys, but like Seth Davis sitting there saying if North Carolina back, you'll eat goat poop or something like that. I mean, that was the joke they were making, that he believed that they could still come back. They kept talking like the game wasn't over, even though the atmosphere in the halftime show was like a funeral. The CBS desperately was praying that North Carolina would win that game. They want the name on the front of the jersey, and they did. They did not want little Ole Miss to make it through. Dylan Malone says, "Hotty toddy." Joe Cranmer says, "They were shooting." Yeah, they were so hot in the first half. Jeffrey Langley, Hoppy Langley's brother, making South Carolina a great win for these kids. Pat 0311, thanks Tim Doyle, enjoy your career as a B-rate sports journalist. I prefer to him. I prefer the equivalent of the Chattanooga Lookouts of national media. That's what he is. Pat says Tim Doyle is the Ole Miss player of the game. Yeah, they were ready to go. They were ready to go. Adam Alvin says, "I'm glad I wasn't around anyone else. The cursing wasn't lacking at the end." And I was like, "Don't do that. Not like that." The people in the group chat, the Locked On group chat, by the way, they were getting ready to get ruthless on me. I could feel it. Especially the Auburn, like Zach, which congratulations to Zach becoming a new father again. Well, not a new father again, becoming a father again, as his wife had a child today. Congratulations. But Chris Gordy, who is kind of an LSU guy, all teams were ready to pounce because they love to pounce on little Ole Miss. Larry Fletcher, unreal game. UNC came around in the second half, but we're doomed in the first half. And towards the end, what guts and fraud we showed. Very proud of Ole Miss. I'm telling you, if this team and this coaching staff doesn't embrace the fraud thing moving on, I think they're making a mistake. Ronald Mathis, ISU will be missing one of their top players. Yes, their point guard is injured. He's a very good player. And honestly, I tried to watch a little bit of the game against Lipscomb, and Lipscomb is not such an inept team. That's not what I'm trying to say. They play so differently. It's hard for me to make correlations of what's going on. And they basically were playing horse. So I know exactly how Iowa State will react to what Ole Miss is doing, and how Ole Miss will react with what Iowa State is doing. I've heard Iowa State's coach and Chris Beard has some similarities. As I dig down on it, probably tomorrow, I'll think about that stuff as well. Rex Thompson, great win for the Rebels, but they must learn to play a 40-minute game. This team, they don't have a Batman. Scoring happen because they don't have a Batman. Sean Pedulla can make big shots, but he's not a Batman. Somebody that you can just go to. They tried Matthew Morrell, they tried Dre Davis, they tried Malik Dia a couple of times, and it just didn't work. And the scoring drought just kept extending, and North Carolina was able to chip away what was going on. And Ole Miss, had turnover issues for the first time here. North Carolina was really beating up as this game went on, but Ole Miss was able to figure it out at the end, and it got cut time, and Pedulla was able to make it happen. Drew says, "I haven't screamed, cussed at a TV that much in a long time." It was nice. That game felt like a football game. As far as your emotional investment in the game, that game felt like a football game. To where you're sitting here just like, I'm pacing in front of the TV, and I'm like, "Whoa, that." It was cool. Tyler Leslie says he's so excited for all of Rebel Nation. Big day, especially with Mississippi State losing to Baylor and seeing Mississippi State get just out muscled on the boards against Baylor. That was kind of fun as well. Larry Fletcher says, "Go to hell, frog guy. You owe us an apology." Rex, you are correct. It's kind of scary towards the end. Once they got it down to 2, I was like, "Oh, no." Let the fraud guy talk now. Who was that jerk? We can beat Iowa State, believe it. We absolutely can beat Iowa State. My prediction right now is Ole Miss is about to go to the Elite Eight. They're going to have a 4th game against the Auburn Tigers. That is my prediction right now. I said from the beginning, my earliest take was that if Ole Miss could get by North Carolina, it was going to open up for them. Now, Iowa State's good. They've always been good, but them not having their point guard, that is going to help you out if the defense and the motivation happens. And if the Ole Miss team that we saw in the first half appears Sunday, Iowa State's in trouble. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Willie Hodges says, "Good win, Rebels." Thank you very much. Jeff Ferguson says, "Hello." Nice of you. Uncle Buck says, "We have to keep the turnovers down. That still happened to Pedulla. Can't happen. Massive swing in momentum." Yeah, it was just one of those rare things. But Ole Miss was able to kind of D up North Carolina, and they just got there to where they were thinking about making shots. And if they were going to be able, and even RJ Davis, who has been playing at North Carolina for 75,822 years, it was in his head as well. David H. says, UNC fans are going to need better help after that game. Probably, but they need better help for the better part of this season. And North Carolina is now 1-13 in quad one games. It was just a situation. Everybody talks about how North Carolina won 9 games out of 11 with the only losses being the Duke. But nobody talked about during that stretch their best win was against Wake Forest, who wasn't in the tournament. So it was a good team. They beat the teams they were supposed to beat, but nobody else. That was kind of their season. Jeff Ferguson says, "Great win for the Rebels." And he also says, "Screw CBS." Keeter Jones, did you see the halftime? One of the guys on the panel said that NCAA was going to come back and win the game. Yeah, that was Seth Davis. And he also said that if Ole Miss win, he was going to eat goat poop or something. Something pretty disgusting. Shower Millam says the commentators were bad today, Stephen. The play-by-play guy I didn't like. I did not like the studio host. They were very slanted towards North Carolina. I thought like Stan Van Gundy was very complimentary to Ole Miss. And he was very no-nonsense as a former coach of knowing it's like, why aren't they doing this? If I can see this, you can see this. And I like that. I thought he did a pretty good job. Tyler Leslie says, I believe I see Elite Eight, maybe even Final Four. Jay Spoon says it was actually the way Ole Miss played in the second half that made Doyle look like a complete imbecile. Ole Miss once again played toughness, moxie, and heart, anything but fraudulent. Yeah, that was a whole made-up thing. Hey, but I'm telling you, Ole Miss's players should absolutely take that to heart completely. Willie Hodges says, now who is the fraud team now? Ronald Mathis, Jay, Ole Miss played like crap in the second half. They won because of the first half. And they also won because of the second half in the last 2 minutes. Absolutely owned winning time in that game. Just like North Carolina Duke came back against Duke, and they had a stupid lane violation that cost them a game. Devils, Ole Miss owned the last 2 minutes of that game. North Carolina couldn't make a shot. What about those announcers? Yeah, that was interesting. Hey, we got a bot. That's cool. What do you think? Do you think Ole Miss will beat Iowa State from Smyrna, Tennessee? It's William Bowles. I think that Ole Miss, yes. I'm predicting Ole Miss goes to the Elite Eight. Now, Iowa State, if you remember, they played Ole Miss in the Pavilion in the Kermit Davis era, and they got there and they shot like 67, 68%. So you got shooters. You got a whole bunch of Jimmy Chitwoods that can make shots. So once again, you're going to have to handle business on the outside jump shot because if you don't, they will kind of take you apart. John Skinner, good win. North Carolina was let back in the game. We were better than them. Let's keep winning. John from Louisiana. You're absolutely correct. Jeffrey Langley from Aiken, South Carolina. My son, Corey, couldn't watch the last minute. Now, that was hilarious. He was sweating it out. I'm too old now to lose my mind. And Ole Miss's girls are up 33 now. It's going to be a great day. Ole Miss should be hosting right now. Them being at Baylor is an absolute travesty. An absolute travesty. We're just gonna, answer some more questions because this is a big win. Normally, it's a 30-minute show. We're gonna go a little bit longer today. Jeff from Pontotoc says, "Man, we have a great coach, knows every team and can coach our guys to win." Ronald Mathis, Pedulla did actually a master class in the engagement farming. Pretty sure he knows Ole Miss wasn't a fraud. Oh, yeah, he did exactly what he wanted to do, but he also did exactly what I wanted him to do. When you look there, my video on Thursday on YouTube is up to about 6,300 views right now. It's a good football level video for basketball. So thank you, Tim Doyle, for that, for the interest. Uncle Buck, you ain't lying, Pops. Jeffrey Langley, Hotty Toddy Steven, my man. Man, they had my heart rate sky high and skyrocketing. Ray Duncan, I was scared, but now I'll have heart surgery being a Rebel fan. Impressive 3-pointers from the Rebels in the first half. Sean Lee, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. You made this whole basketball season that more exciting. Thank you, Tyler Leslie. This has been a lot of fun, and I get to do it at least one more time, and it should be pretty good. I'm also working with Brad and Logan a little bit. I'm helping them out to make sure they're about to expand their video coverage as well. So I'm kind of giving them tips and all that as well, because I don't compete with anybody. It's just they need help. I'll give them help. JL Cramner says Elite 8 for sure. The audio is really hard to hear. The audio is breaking up. No, man. Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. We'll see what's going on. It doesn't do it on the recording when I do that, but if doing this, we'll see how that's going and how that is. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Hope everybody has a good day. Ole Miss, a 71-64 victory over the North Carolina Tar Heels. Very excited about that. And we'll see you on Sunday on a crossover show, and on Sunday with the reaction show, and on Saturday with a crossover show. Take care. We'll see you then. Hotty toddy, everyone.